I never thought I'd witness actual magic in Prague. If you know me, you know I'm more on the skeptical side of things. But this isn't some cheesy street performer pulling a coin from behind a kid's ear. This is way bigger. I know it sounds wild, but bear with me because by the end of this story, you might just believe me. Or at the very least, you'll be slightly entertained. Hey, it's Alex. I'm here in Prague, Czech Republic. I'd always heard about the city's medieval charm, Gothic spires, and how it was like stepping back in time. But when I actually get here, it's like getting hit in the face with history. This place is a living postcard. There's literally a castle looming over everything, which really sets the tone for the whole magical experience. So naturally, I have to start at Prague Castle. I mean, it's kind of the main event. If you're thinking this is some regular castle with a moat and a couple of towers, think again. This thing is massive. We're talking 70,000 square meters of medieval fortress, complete with its own cathedral, St. Vitus Cathedral, which is hands down one of the most dramatic buildings I've ever seen. It's got these towering Gothic spires that look like they're straight out of a dark fairy tale. And as I walk through, craning my neck to take it all in, I realize there's no way you couldn't feel small here. This place is built to make you feel like an insignificant little ant in a very, very old and important world. After I get my fill of the castle and check out Golden Lane, which by the way looks like a hobbit village from Lord of the Rings, I wander off in search of something a bit weirder. Because, let's be honest, as beautiful as the tourist hotspots are, the strange off-the-beaten-path spots are where things get interesting. Enter the Museum of Alchemists and Magicians of Old Prague. The name alone is enough to pique my curiosity. I mean, alchemists? Magicians? In a city already filled with legends, myths, and centuries of intrigue? How could I say no? So, armed with Google Maps and some pretty questionable Czech directions, I make my way through a maze of cobblestone streets to find this quirky little spot. The museum is tucked away in a building that looks like it's been plucked straight from the 16th century, and it probably was. Inside, it's dimly lit, musty, and filled with old books and mysterious artifacts. You know that smell when you walk into an old library and it's kind of dusty, but in a way that makes you feel like you're in the presence of something important? That's what it smells like. It's immediately clear that this place was designed to make you feel like you'd accidentally stepped into a secret world. The museum is dedicated to the life and work of Edward Kelley, one of Prague's most famous alchemists. Apparently, this guy spent most of his life trying to turn regular metals into gold and create the Philosopher's Stone. Yes, like that Philosopher's Stone. Think less Harry Potter and more, well, someone who was probably losing his mind in a lab, surrounded by bubbling cauldrons and suspicious vials of glowing liquids. Fun fact, people actually believed alchemists like Kelley could pull this off, which blows my mind. But then again, medieval Prague wasn't exactly known for its skepticism. As I wander around the museum, I find myself standing in front of a recreation of Kelley's lab. The guide, who looks like he's one costume change away from being a magician himself, is in the middle of explaining how Kelley's experiments were all about trying to create the Elixir of Eternal Youth. I'm only half listening until I see the glowing vial sitting on the table in front of us. No joke, the liquid inside is glowing, a soft, eerie light that shimmers and seems to move on its own. My first thought is, okay, it's probably just a trick. Maybe there's a little LED light hidden somewhere. But the guide's voice gets lower and he leans in, looking us dead in the eyes, and says, "This is one of the last known vials of the Elixir of Youth." I laugh, but no one else does. Instead, the group of tourists around me lean in closer, and for a second, I feel it too. That strange sense of, what if? What if it's not a trick? What if it's real? I mean, I'm a logical person, but there's something about that room, the way the shadows flicker on the walls and the dim light of the candlelit space, that makes it hard to brush off. Is it the setting, or am I just letting my imagination run wild? The guide keeps talking about Kelley and his partner John D., another famous alchemist, but I'm stuck on that vial. I half expect the thing to explode into a puff of magical smoke or start bubbling over. I'm not saying I'm ready to start believing in magic or anything, but for a split second, I could almost understand why people like Kelley were taken seriously back in the day. The atmosphere in that lab, combined with the centuries-old mystery of alchemy, is enough to make anyone doubt what they think they know about the world. Eventually, the tour moves on and I snap out of it. I have to, right? I mean, magic? Sure, but it's fun to entertain the thought for a while. Plus, Prague already has me under its spell. The city is so rich in history and legends that you half expect to run into a wizard at the local Starbucks. After I leave the museum, still buzzing with questions, and maybe a tiny bit of adrenaline from thinking I'd almost witnessed something supernatural, I decide to take it easy. I head to Letná Park, which, by the way, offers some of the best views of the city. If you want to feel like you're standing on top of the world, overlooking those famous red rooftops and the Vltava River, this is the spot. I grab a beer. Czech beer is, by the way, one of the best things about Prague. Find a bench and take it all in. The sun is setting, the light is soft and golden, and for a moment, everything feels magical. And that's when it hits me. The real magic in Prague isn't that glowing vial or the alchemist's lab. It's everywhere. The city itself feels like it's been preserved in time, with its narrow streets, hidden courtyards, and old-world charm. You walk around and it's like the past is just waiting to jump out from behind a corner and say, "Hey, remember me?" Everywhere you go, there's a story. Whether it's the statue of John of Nepomuk on Charles Bridge, who grants good luck if you rub the plaque beneath him, or the ever-changing graffiti on the Lenin Wall, which stands as a colorful tribute to freedom and creativity. Even the small details, like the pastry stand selling turtelnik, a sugar-coated tourist trap, yes, but it tastes like heaven, or the medieval astronomical clock in Old Town Square that's been ticking away since the 15th century, all add up to something special. And okay, maybe I didn't witness actual magic. Maybe that glowing potion was just some fancy museum trick designed to spook tourists. But you know what? Prague doesn't need to rely on parlor tricks to be magical. It just is. The whole city has this energy that makes you feel like anything could happen. Whether you're climbing up Petrin Tower for stunning panoramic views, wandering the eerie halls of the Vyšehrad Fortress, or just sitting in a quiet cafe with a pint of beer, there's something about Prague that's hard to describe. It makes you believe, if only for a little while, that magic might not be so far-fetched after all. So yeah, I might not have found the Philosopher's Stone and I didn't drink the Elixir of Eternal Youth, probably for the best. I'm not sure I could handle living forever, but I am walking away from Prague with something even better. A sense that sometimes, even in the most skeptical, science-loving world we live in, it's okay to let yourself believe in magic, even if it's just for a few days. Prague has that effect on people. It wraps you up in its history, its charm, its quirks, and its mysteries until you can't help but feel a little enchanted. Do you have any plans to go to Prague? Or have you been? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe for more. Until next time, keep exploring, stay curious, and adventure aloud.